Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I constantly see happening, what all of you are doing. You all are chasing motivated seller leads like desperate maniacs. What do I mean by that? You go out of your way to chase them, to entice them to fill in the form, to force fill the form, to convince them to fill in the form. Wrong. You're not supposed to do that. If you have to do that in order for your forms to get filled, you are doing it wrong. Check this out. A lot of these influencers, a lot of you people out there treat motivated sellers as the inherent enemy. What do I mean by that? You think that you need to convince them to fill in the form. You think you need to force them. You need to entice them. You need to grab them by the shoulders and put them in place and fill in the form. That is what all of you are doing. The motivated sellers are not your enemy. They are not there on your website offering resistance to fill in a form. It's the opposite. Realize this. Anybody that lands on your website because they want to sell, they are there because they have a problem and they want help. They want you to buy their house, right? So they are on your website because they want, because they hope you can be the solution they're looking for. They want to fill in your form. The only thing you need to do is not just tell them that you are credible and you can help them. You need to show them. You do not need to convince them to fill in the form. You need to convince them that you are credible. There's a big difference. What happens when you randomly walk through the house and you come across your wife in the kitchen and suddenly your eyes pop up wide open and you start to say something like, I didn't do it, I didn't do anything, I didn't go out last night, I didn't go out last night, I was in bed, I was sleeping, I was in bed next to you sleeping. How well do you think will come over? Of course you won't believe you, right? The point I'm trying to make is the harder you try to push people to believe you that you're credible, the more it does the opposite, the less credible you will be. So when I see everybody going out of their way to try to convince motivated sellers that they're credible, you're doing it wrong. You do not need to do that. You're doing damage. That is what I mean. The motivated seller is not your enemy. They want to fill in the form. They are hoping you can convince them, so they are very open to you showing them that you are credible. So you don't have to go out of your way. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this. The reason why you are so struggling is because I see this quite often as well. In fact, quite recently, I saw some website company advertising the fact that when somebody lands on your website and they bounce, that the website will chase them, they will find out their contact information, give you their contact information that you can contact them. And I'm sitting there in complete disbelief laughing. Guys, do you understand the freaking purpose of a website? Do you understand it at all? Do you understand the concept of a website? Your website is supposed to have people bounce from it. The non-motivated people though. The website acts as a filter, meaning you want the people that are not motivated to bounce and go away and disappear, and you want the people that are motivated to stay and fill in the form. Your website is a filter. Your website is not supposed to go chasing after the people that bounce. If they bounced, they are not in that much pain. They do not want to sell. Or they read your website and they realize that your services, a fast cash offer below market value, is not for them. Good, let them go. The more you chase these kind of leads, the more the good leads will fall through the cracks, because you will be spending a lot of time, energy, and money to chase them, while you then spend less time, energy, and money on the people that actually want to sell. The second reason is, while it takes you 3 weeks to finally sign that contract from a non-motivated seller, you somehow convince them, within those 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you could have signed 15 other contracts from a motivated seller. There doesn't exist any justification to go after people that do not want to sell, that they're not ready to sell. Let them go. So that is very, very wrong. Be careful with shiny object syndrome. Forget the shiny object, forget the dynamics, forget the fancy pictures flowing off your website. Forget all of that. The only thing you need to do is show people that you are credible. The rest is on them. Okay, so that's that. Now, here is the problem though. So I've been telling you over and over and over again, if any of you know me from the past, at least from my previous video, it's all about credibility, 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 right? Here is the problem though. What needs to happen for people to know you're credible? They need to reach your website. They need to spend their precious time, effort, and energy to plan their ass down and go through your website and read it so that they can find that you're credible. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody is going to give you the benefit of the doubt to read the website. So, how are you going to make people read your website? Keep in mind, it doesn't matter how amazing your website is, how amazing your content, how much proof you have on your website. When nobody reads your website, you do not exist to them. They will never know you're credible. So it's a big deal. It's a big problem that needs to be addressed. So how? How are you going to make people read your website? You give them something in exchange for their time, effort, and energy. What are you going to give them for exchange? Value. Now that seems very abstract, right? But you give people value in exchange for their time, effort, and energy to read their website so that they can see how amazing and how trustworthy and how credible you are. So now, value, easy, right? Well, do you even know what value is? Do you even know how to give value? Plenty of you will say yes, and I will say you wish. You have no freaking idea what value is and how you give it. In order to figure out what value is, you need to obviously understand who you're dealing with. Okay, somebody that hasn't had a drink in 5 days, value to them is not a hamburger. Value to them is a glass of water. It depends on your audience. It depends on their pain. It depends on their situation. It depends on their current mindset. So in other words, in order for you to give value to anybody, you really need to understand what their issues are, and you need to understand, you need to know how they see the world having those issues. An example. If you have a 5-year-old kid with a pet rabbit and somebody ran over the rabbit, obviously it's sad, right? Later on the day, he sees a cartoon with Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, and Elmer Fudd shoots Bugs Bunny in the asshole. that kid is not going to be happy, obviously. But for any other kid, it is hilarious. Do you see what I'm talking about? The same cartoon will have a very different effect on that kid that rabbit died versus that kid that had no problem. These two audiences sees the world very differently. When I say the world, I mean everything, including your website. Okay? So, understanding somebody's current mindset, his current condition, current situation, can give you a very powerful window into what kind of content they will resonate with. So that's why it's very important you do that, okay? So finding the current situation is crucial.